Is eating too much a sin? Why?
You and I go separate ways, cause lately I don't feel the way that I used to, that I used to, that I used to, that I used to.
I am going to tell you about Dante's Divine Comedy. Dante's The Divine Comedy is the beginning of Italian literature and the single most significant work of the Middle Ages because its allegory emphasizes the importance of salvation and divine love in a work that is inclusive and tightly structured. It is so truly infused with Christian ethics that any overview has to touch on major Christian themes, beginning with the plot being set during Easter week 1300s. Hello. We all know that sin is an act that offends God. For us, sin described as an evil human act, an immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law. There are so many kinds of sin. Like in the Inferno, there are 9 circles consisting of 9 capital sins. But let us focus about gluttony. Do you guys agree that gluttony is a sin? Well, we are going to tackle about why we must know and always remember that gluttony is a sin, why it is so unrecognizable, and why do people keep on doing it. As we all know, there are so many sins, but let us focus about gluttony. In the Inferno, the third circle of Dante's hell is reserved for the gluttons, one of the 9 capital sins. Gluttony is defined as the overzealous or greedy appetite for something. Usually, it is associated with food and drink, but it can also refer to any type of consumption. You might also have heard the idiom glutton for punishment. This idiom imagines that someone who takes on all kinds of difficult tasks must enjoy the hardship, to the point where no one no longer eats only to live, but rather lives to eat. So what the Bible says about gluttony in 1 Corinthians 3:16-17 says, "Do you not know that you are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple." We all know that we are God's temple. This verse wants to tell us that God lives in us and we must take care of it. God's temple was a very special not only for the Christians, but especially for God. A very special occasion in the Old Testament was the temple. God issued specific instructions on how it was to be designed and furnished. It was the primary place where God introduced himself to the priests and spoke. So we have to take care of ourselves, not just for us, particularly for God, because talking and communicating with Him using our body, our mind, our heart, and our souls will be one of the connections to talk with Him. Gluttony is an recognizable sin. And why do individuals choose to do it? Gluttony is a sin which Christians seems to want to neglect. We're all quick to describe smoking and alcohol as a sin, but for some reason, gluttony is accepted. Many believers would not even consider consuming a glass of wine or smoking a cigarette, but food regulation is not questionable for them. Many people believe that we should enjoy food and drink because it's a gift from God. It gives our body energy, vitamins, and minerals. And some people says that it's okay to enjoy food since it's from God. There are so many kinds of reasons why people keep on eating too much. First, as I said earlier, they want to enjoy it. They want to satisfy their temptation. Being tired is one of the reasons too, because we must gain some energy to perform other activities. But sometimes, due to overwork that makes people very tired, we tend to eat too much to gain the energy back. But we shouldn't allow these things to enslave us, because it's like money. It is good if it's in the proper place. The virtue opposite or sin of gluttony is the virtue of temperance. And temperance help us to put all these things in their proper place, food and drink, but also any bodily pleasure. Our eating habits cannot be controlled, we are also passively unable to control other eating habits. Practices such as those of the mind, like lust, anger, and many bad things, and not being able to keep our mouths away from them. We are not supposed to let our appetites rule us, but we are supposed to keep our appetites under control. We need to say no to anything in excess. Self control is one of the fruits of the Spirit common to all believers. God had blessed us by filling the earth with foods that are delicious, nutritious, and pleasurable. We should honor God's creation by enjoying these foods and by eating them in appropriate quantities. God called us to control our appetites rather than allowing them to control us. As long as you do not do it regularly, it is alright to eat and drink a lot of food and beverages. Maybe once in a while, you can do it, but not all the time. People need to remember that tomorrow is still to be enjoyed. Furthermore, gluttony is a mortal sin, so a person should not be a glutton. You should stop eating and start enjoying other things when you feel fulfilled and when you feel like you have already had your fill. Because there is more to life than just food.